That rotunda is really interesting and such a beautiful theater. I'm glad they were able to restore it. Uh, it is one of the most beautiful theaters I've seen any film festival in. So we're very fortunate to have the Virginia Theater here. Nate and I were discussing backstage um, the audience's reaction to Jim Cohen's film Museum Hours. And he was saying how one of the things Roger would be the most proud of this festival is that over the years, the audiences have come along with us. And Jim's movie is beautiful. And it's something that, and pacing is something that this audience appreciates. And one of the things that we do at this festival is it's a deliberate choice to have movies of different pacing. Some are pretty fast paced, more take you on, more you have to contemplate more, and it's just, it's not all the same thing. And Roger, that was something that was really important to him. And Nate just gave you a big compliment on how you're able to, as Kevin Lee says, this is what Roger would say: you trust your own intelligence. And Kevin, you're right, that's a very Roger thing to say, that this audience trusts its own intelligence about movies. Um, the other thing on the net neutrality issue is I wanted to mention, because we have another filmmaker, Nina Paley. Are you here, Nina? And I know that Nina, I hope she's here now. I don't know if she is right this minute, but I know she was here earlier. When um, she presented her film a few years ago, and she couldn't clear the rights to, I think it was I think it was a copyright issue. And so she said rather than make any money, she just released it on the web because she felt that it was something that some art that she wanted out there. And the issue that Jim Cohen brought up about net neutrality is an interesting one, and it's one that Roger also made sure we talked about and discussed at this festival. So um, it is an important issue. Um, oh, I have some announcements. You know that another thing that's really, that I actually love about this festival is that we have tents right outside. We have one tent that has barbecue and red beans and rice, and we have another tent. I have only eaten in one of them so far. I'll eat in the others later, so I don't know what else. We have lots of things out there. I think we have hot dogs, and I don't know, but we have food out there in tents. And some years we have bands out there. Next year, I'd like to have a band playing out there again. Uh, so that in between the movies I want this to be like a real happening, because this is Roger's scene and it freaks him out. So if you have the tent, but also to support some of the merchants in town. Sometimes you have to take a break from a movie, or in between dinner time, you get a chance to go and visit some of the other restaurants in town, or just walk around. And Roger and I actually used to take walks in between, and just to see what was going on. But he knew where to go, and he knew how I would get lost. He knew where to go, and so visit some of the other merchants and places around. Oh yes, East Lobby. We have a boutique. The Park District Theater's boutique is in the East Lobby, and some of you are new. For instance, I met someone. I think her name is Jana from St. Charles. She couldn't get a ticket. All the passes were sold out. And so she said, I'm just going to take a chance and drive over from St. Charles and see if I can get into that festival. And she drove over today and she got into this festival. So thanks for coming. So for someone like Jana and some other people who are new, because there are other people who are new that I've talked to, may not know that in between every year, Mary Susan gets hats and T-shirts, and we also have books. In fact, Matt Seises, the editor in chief of RogerEbert.com, wrote this beautiful book about Wes Anderson, and it's back there for sale in the East Lobby, and others, and there are other books that are back there. I think maybe David Bordwell. And do you have your book? Oh, not this year. Okay. Um, it's not back there, but something else. I brought up some hardback covers of Life Itself. And the reason I brought our copies of Life Itself to sell in the East Lobby is the book is out of print and you can't get, and I know that some of you who come to film festivals also are hardback book lovers, and only the paperback is, you can get the paperback through Amazon, through anywhere in the East Lobby, but the hardback covers are for sale because they're out of print and you won't see them there. Believe me, they'll become collector's items, so you may want to get a copy in the back, in the East Lobby. Um, oh, oh, Roger wrote a short story called The Thinking Molecules of Titan. And we've had a contest going at RogerEbert.com. Krishna uh, illustrated the short stories for us. And Andrew I, Stengel, I think, or what is it? Stengely. Andrew Stengely put the short story to a movie, and he made a short movie of it. And we, unfortunately, because the time that it was completed, we weren't able to schedule it in the film festival. But it's going to be shown on Sunday at the Art Theater at 3:30. So those of you who know what the story about the thinking molecules of Titan may want to go to the Art Theater at 3:30 Sunday. And before I introduce this film, one last thing. Some of the shots in Jim's movie, um, of course, Roger and I had visited that museum. We took in Vienna, we took our grandchildren there. And some of the art made me think about, I think you read, some of you were talking about the article in Esquire magazine this past December when I was describing what Roger used to talk about the week before he passed away. He would visit this place, and he actually called it heaven. And he said, it's not heaven, because you know that Roger was not like a big religious person, but there's no doubt that he was spiritual. Um, and he said, it's not like heaven that you hear people talk about in movies or in a religious sense. He says it was heaven. That's the only word that he could think of to call it. And now I'm sorry. At the time, I really thought that it was his medication. And the doctor later told me, no, Roger's medication, his pain medication, was not, he was barely on it. So this was, and I know some people talk about, they think that there's a theory that when you die, your brain releases DMT or some sort of hormone or substance that helps you transition from this world to the next. Since then, however, I've been reading books and talking to people who are specialists in this area, and it's not your brain releasing DMT. I think that people some people do transition, and Roger would describe this beautiful world that was so colorful and so peaceful. He talked about the oneness, and Uh, Even my dear Roger, as some people think he was this big agnostic, even used the word God. So the reason that when I came up, when I was giving him the thumb, I didn't want to talk because it's still one of those moments where I was like still under the spell of this movie and the paintings and thinking about Roger's description of going to this other place that was so beautiful. And that's it. I feel that if I can talk about anything like that anywhere, it's here. So I've done it. This film that I'm going to introduce also has a very different pacing, and it's a film that's been embraced all over. Um, I'm going to bring one of the actors in the movie to describe the film for you. Actually, let's just bring her out because what I want to say while she's out here. Let me first tell you about Brie. Brie Larson received numerous 2014 Best Actress nominations and wins for her performance as Grace in Short Term 12, including the Locarno Film Festival, Gotham Awards, and nomination for a 2014 Critics' Choice Award. She has also had supporting roles in films such as The Spectacular Now, Don Juan, Don John, and 21 Jump Street, and is widely known for her portrayal of Toni Collette's rebellious daughter in Showtime's United States of Tara. In addition to acting, Brie Larson is a writer and director. Her short film, The Arm, won the prize for Best Comedic Storytelling at the 2013 Sundance Film Festival. Uh, let's welcome Brie Larson. And Brie, the reason I wanted you here is because I've been thinking when I told someone that you were invited to this festival, I was out in LA and people said, you are gonna love Brie. You're gonna love Brie. She's so smart and she's so conscious. And and they're right. I love you. And Roger would love you. And this morning we had a panel. Uh, and this particular film is sponsored by the Champaign County Alliance for the Promotion of Acceptance, Inclusion, and Respect. At one time, it was called the Champaign County Anti Stigma Alliance. This morning on the panel, I was a little nervous about how Bree was going to interact with Dr. Julian Rappaport. He invited her not only to come and teach at the graduate school, but get a fellowship and everything because what she said was so perceptive and so intelligent about her character and about the movie. And then later she was on another panel and I listened to her and it was perceptive just about life itself. I am so honored to have you at this festival. Bree, will you please introduce your film?
Thank you. Just too much pressure now. I didn't know I had to introduce the film. Hi. There's no way I'm gonna live up to your expectations. I don't want to tell you too much about it. I want you to feel it. I don't want you to think about it. And I want you to allow yourself to let these images wash over you. We're in such a beautiful setting. I feel like watching movies for me and being in the movie theater is my version of going to church. And that's exactly what it looks like we're in. So very cool. Just feel it. And if there's anything that you want to talk about, let's talk about it afterwards. I'm here. My flight's not until the morning. So We got plenty of time. So enjoy the movie, and I hope to see you after.